Okay, so today we'll be solving proportions and then working on setting up and solving then in the next video. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Here are a couple examples of some real life applications that we can use proportions to solve. So things like Amanda reads 18 pages in 23 minutes. At this rate, how many pages will she read in 45 minutes? This one, these are all examples of situations that involve proportions, right? Where you have two rates that have a relationship, and we can use that rate to help us solve for some missing parts. So the first part of your notes, filling in the blanks here. In the proportion, right? So when you have a proportion, it's a fraction set equal to a fraction. The products, so multiplying A times D and B times C, are called the cross product. So cross product, you can see the example over here. The cross products of a proportion are equal, which is why we can use the cross product property, which is the cross products of a proportion are equal. So we are able to use this fact to help us set up and solve proportions. So let's try a few, some basic ones, right? So you got just some basic proportions, basic ratios set equal to each other. The first thing we're going to do is cross multiply, right? So you're taking 6 times 4 and setting that equal to B times 5. Write this down as you see it on the screen in your notes. As we continue working, there'll be less that we have to write down in terms of some of the beginning steps, but just to see where this is coming from. Again, this is the cross product. Notice how in this step there are no fractions. It is just equals, right? And then the two products on either side. So then from here we can simplify that a little bit, and we get 24 equals 5b, and then we're just solving this equation from here. So divide by 5 on both sides, we get b equals 24 over 5, or 4.8. As usual, at any point in time, please stop the video and rewind, rewatch as you need to make sure your notes are complete. Okay. The next one, still the same setup. We're going to cross multiply, and I want you to write down this step exactly as you see it on the screen. So you can see, you can kind of follow the pattern here. So we are using the cross products to then set equal. We can simplify those, and then we can go ahead and divide by 5 again, and we get x equals 27. For number 3, again, cross products, set them equal to each other, and once again, simplify. So multiply 7 times 3 is 21, and then once again, divide by 5, and we end up with, again, a fraction or the decimal 4.2. So go ahead and take a moment and try these three. See if you can do these three, and then in this video, check them and see how you did. Okay, so check your work here. I have just the each intermediate step written down for these. The cross product, right? 15 times 2 is 30. A times 3 is 3a. And then solve for a, you get 10. These other two are very similar. Again, notice for this last one here, we end up with a fraction, and we can simplify that fraction down to negative 33 over 2. Okay. If you wrote 16.5, as your final answer, negative 16.5, that would be okay. But leaving it as the fraction reduced is fine too. Okay, so the next set of examples, we're going to start noticing there's more going on than just a single number in each of the ratios. So the first thing I like to do is when I see something like number 7, when I see a minus 2, when I do that cross product, you'll see me put parentheses around that a minus 2, and that's going to help me remember that eventually I'm going to need to distribute. So here we go. The first cross product, 9 times 2 is 18. The second cross product, again, I'm putting parentheses around the a minus 2. So when I write that down, I'm writing that down exactly as you see it here. So this way I remember that I have to then distribute the 3. So when I simplify for the next step, I'm distributing that 3, so 3 times a and 3 times negative 2. And then from here I have two steps to solve. So add 6, and then divide by 3. So a equals 8. For the next one, again, I notice that I'm going to have parentheses that I need to put around there. I could do that right away, or when you get to it. Let's start with the 9 times 5 is 45. And then again, parentheses to help me remember that I need to then distribute this 6. Because again, we're multiplying, we're taking the cross product, so we're multiplying here, and that means I'm going to need to distribute. So let's go ahead and do that. And then once again, we're down to a two-step equation. Subtract 54 on both sides, bring down what remains, and then divide by 42. And we get n equals negative 9 over 42. And again, that's okay as your final answer. We do want to reduce if possible. So I notice that I can divide both of those by 3 to get a simplified answer of negative 3 over 14. And then the last one has two places where you need to put parentheses, right? So I put parentheses around the denominator, the first fraction. So when I show that cross product, I know I need to distribute. Same for the other side. I'm going to need to distribute that 5. So write that step down exactly as you see it on the screen so that you remember, okay, I now need to distribute to make sure I'm going to end up with the right answer. So distributing both of those, we end up with 8r minus 72 equals 5r plus 25. And then finish solving from here. We do have a few more steps. So there are no like terms on either side, but there are variables on both sides. So we want to get those variable terms. Again, I'm going to still move them to the left. So I'm going to subtract 5r from both sides. And that means then I'm going to need to add the 72 to the other side. And finally, 3r equals 97. Divide by 3, I get r equals 97 over 3. Okay, there's nothing to do to reduce that. All right, try these out 10, 11, and 12. And then check your work in the rest of this video. All right, so check your work here. Notice in that first step, I'm still writing down the 7 times the quantity c plus 4, right? I'm putting parentheses around there when I write this step down. Finishing solving, I get c equals 11. For number 11, again, there's two places where you need to put parentheses. Parentheses around the p plus 10 and around the p minus 7. So distribute on both sides and then, again, solve, and we get p equals negative 146. And that last one there, distribute on one side. This one, be careful, right? The variable is by itself on the right-hand side, so I'm going to move the 10x to the right-hand side as well. So if you subtract 10x to both sides, you're going to end up with negative 30 equals negative 1. So then you still need to divide by that negative 1 to get positive 30. Okay, so just be careful on that one.